In this video, I'm going to be sharing about depression. So this video is for anyone who's dealt with depression, maybe has a loved one who's dealt with depression. And I'm going to share in this video the things that I've learned about how to overcome with depression, how to deal with depression, how to be with depression. And so I want to start off by talking about prescription medications. First, I want to say that I have zero judgments about taking prescription medication for depression, for any kind of ailment. Why? Because they helped me. There was a time in my life that taking prescription medication for depression was what I needed, and I'm going to talk more about that. But I just want to say that here's the thing. Off the bat, so many of us in this world, in this time, mental health is a huge issue. So we have the issues of depression, we have anxiety, we have all different kinds of disorders or mental issues. Why? What's the root cause? That's what personally I'm always interested in, and what you will hear me go back to a lot in all of my videos is, what is the root cause? Why? Why are there so many people that are dealing with this? What I deeply believe the reason is because we have been severed from our roots of our ancestry, our lineage. We have been severed from our connection with the earth, how to live in deep connection with the earth, with the elements, and in deep connection with our own bodies. It is because of this severing of consciousness, of the way that our world operates, this industrial world that has disconnected us from our roots, from the earth, from our bodies, that we are experiencing all of these mental issues, all of this stress, because it is so unnatural. For centuries as humans, we lived deeply connected to our ancestry, to our culture and tradition, to our lineage, to our grandparents, to all of that was woven into life, to artistic expression. Everybody sang, everybody danced. We lived in connection with the cycles and the rhythms of the earth. So this modern industrial world that has been built on colonization has severed us from all of these things, and now we're seeing all of these ill effects. So I want to say there can be a lot of shame that people experience, self-shame for being depressed, for having anxiety, for having any of these kinds of mental issues or disorders. And I'm here to tell you, do not be ashamed. Do not be ashamed, please. This is not your fault. This is a symptom of a sick culture. This is a symptom of a sick society. You were not given what you needed as a human to thrive. You were not given what you needed as a human to thrive, and therefore you have these symptoms of living in a toxic culture, in a toxic world. And there's a lot that I can go into about depression that also has to do with gut health and the whole toxicity of the pollution of our waters and our air, and that's a different video. I'm shooting to make these smaller because I'm also not editing my videos, y'all. I don't have the time. Just bear with me. This is a huge step to just start my YouTube channel. Little by little, it'll all be edited and like a lot prettier, fancier, whatever. But just, I'm gonna give you the juice. I'm gonna give you the gold from my heart, and that's where we're starting out. So, depression. One of the things that was shared with me is that depression is suppressed grief. Why people experience depression is because they have suppressed large amounts of grief from things that they've experienced in their life that they were not able to process. So for me, flashback, I was 16 years old. I was sitting in a room where I needed to take this written test, and I had to retake the test because I had missed the class, And so I was alone in this room, and I seemed like the walls were closing in on me, and my vision was blurry, and I could not focus at all on this test. And I had recently chosen to go off of my depression medication. I had been taking medication for depression prior to this because I was anorexic. I was depressed. It was hard for me to function. And so I had started to take that medication, and I was doing better. And I decided to go off of it, and then I couldn't handle, so I went back onto it. And then it actually took me having an experience of being out in nature. I went on Outward Bound. It was a several-week journey of being out in nature that I found myself for the first time, that I felt love for myself for the first time, that I was able to fully overcome the eating disorder, that I was able to get on the other side of my depression and actually go off of the medication. But this is what I want to say, is that there are some people that medication is necessary. Why? Because first of all, it's a personal choice. So I don't have any judgment about that personal choice that someone is going to make. Also, I will say that in my personal experience with depression, the reason why I was depressed is because I was suppressing childhood trauma that I couldn't deal with as a child. And when I finally was in an environment where my needs were met, I was in a good relationship, I was getting out in nature, I was out of school, I had less stress, I had time and space, I was able to get off the medication, and then I was able to do the deeper inner healing work because I had a safe container to do that in. So sometimes medication can be necessary to just cope with life, to cope with the stresses of life, until you can get yourself into a scenario where your needs are being met, where you can get yourself out into nature, where you have a good therapist, where you have good people around you, where you're in a healthy environment and circumstance and situation to do the deeper inner healing work of what's underneath the depression. Why is that depression there in your life? And so for me, it was, again, getting into nature, having healthy relationships, living in a good environment, and decreasing the stress in my life that allowed me to get off of that medication. And so I just want to share this video because this is the message that wanted to come through today about you are not alone. There's so many people that are dealing with depression, and the best thing for you to know is that yes, there is something happening underneath your psyche, your body, your heart, your mind, your soul, your spirit that is causing the depression. The depression is not the issue. The depression is a symptom, again, of our cultural toxicity and all of that, and also of whatever is going on in your personal journey. And so the first step is to have self-compassion. To have self-compassion. And the second step is acceptance. An acknowledgement and an acceptance of this is what's going on. What is the best method for me to deal with this right now in my current circumstance? For some people that might be to take medication. For other people that might be to seek holistic means of healing. Maybe eventually you want to seek holistic means of healing, but right now you're not in a circumstance where you can, and you need something to just help you function. Like, again, I have zero judgments about how you want to navigate this. Only you know what is right for you. And again, that's part of actually what can heal you from your depression is relying on that you do know what is best for yourself. Only you know. And I just also, the other last piece I want to speak to is that if you have somebody in your life that is depressed, there can be this like thing of like, when are they not going to be depressed, or why are they depressed another day, or this kind of like wishing they were different, or wishing that they would cheer up, or wishing that they, like, all of this. Accept them as they are, love them as they are, and ultimately it's all about coming back to yourself. And why is their depression bothering you so much? Is it because you are running from your own sadness? Is it because you don't want to look at what's going on underneath the surface for yourself? Because when we've done our inner work and we can make peace with all the parts of ourselves, we can make peace with the parts of other people as well. And I do want to encourage people to learn those tools of how to cope with depression in a holistic way, because ultimately I do believe that the body can heal and regulate itself when we give ourselves the proper tools. So for myself and for many other people, the way that we have found a balance or a healing with depression is getting out into nature regularly, having a therapist or some kind of therapeutic modality, moving and exercising the body regularly, having some kind of journal practice, self-love practice, self-reflection practice. And so that's when you get to the point where you develop those skills. I recently went through a period of my time, I hadn't dealt with depression for years and years since I was in my since I was in my teens and early 20s. And I just had another bout of depression and dealing with the depression. And because I know the tools, because I know what to give myself, time in nature, therapist or practitioner or community friends, exercising my body, journaling, writing, some kind of, self-reflective process, I was able to get myself through that. And that's when these things that we might judge as bad or wrong actually transform into a gift in our blessing in our life, because it can actually bring us closer to ourselves. I hope this video has served you, whatever your journey has been with depression. Just know you are not alone, and sending so much love your way.